The lies just do not stop in this dark sunset of our soul. That delivery was terrible. Why did you let me do this? Hello everybody, I'm Arden. Welcome to another episode of Glacial Awakening. And the lie is that we are once again still not going to pursue RF power because I've realized there's something that is actually much more important to me, which is why I've hollowed out this little room in my power area. And that's because I think it's time to start on AE2 and get started on it much earlier than we did for Enigmatica, because I am tired of constantly running up and down to my storage system. I placed that pretty badly and stuff's completely unorganized, and this will actually help us lay out the base more. So a little bit ago I actually went out and gathered all of the inscriber presses from the meteorites surrounding my base. I only had to go visit 2 more to find the one plate that I was missing, so we've got that step already done, so we can get some free Certus crystals. The next step that we need to do is make an energy acceptor, an advanced inscriber, and a charger. And I think I'm going to start with the energy acceptor because I think we may need this to power either the charger or the advanced inscriber, but we'll have to go figure this out real fast here. The energy acceptor we can mostly easily do, except there's one hitch because we need to go make some Fluix crystal. But Fluix crystal is actually just pretty easy. We just need a charged Certus crystal, some nether quartz, and some redstone to do this. And thankfully we have some charged Certus crystal that we found just from mining. Otherwise we would need that charger that we just looked at. And you know, just wandering back up out of here reminding me that I really need to finish decorating this room. All of this torch spam is starting to get really annoying, as well as the complete just brown in the back half of this room. Someone needs to yell at me to go get this job done. I really need to get a water pool that's covered again. But here we go. And out come the Fluix crystals. Okay, so I recabled this room and hid the power cables on the floor, except for the unfortunate one going up into the squeezer up there. I can fix all that later once we get the painter and I can actually make facades. But it runs all the way down into here into this corner, which is I think where I'm going to put the energy acceptor for now. So let's just put that down and we can check off this one, which gives us a storage cell that we're not going to use right now. Next up, let's do the advanced inscriber so that we can make the ME terminal and hopefully wire up our inventory sooner than later. And this is pretty simple too. The main thing here is the sticky piston because we haven't found slime balls yet, but we can get around this because we have been farming rice and we can turn rice dough into slime balls that are usable. And the rice dough comes from 3 rice, so thankfully I've been harvesting my crops once in a while. We should have enough to do this though. Alright, so I dropped the advanced inscriber next to the energy acceptor, but it turns out it doesn't actually require power or a connection even right now. So I've just got it processing some silicon chips just to test it with. The silicon was created from sand inside the manufactory, so that part was all easy. And I did make some Fluix cables, just because I'm going to have to wire up the base shortly anyways. And the Fluix cables are Fluix crystals combined with a quartz fiber. The quartz fiber is just ground up either nether quartz or Certus quartz. We can do that in the manufactory, and then some glass. So far, so good. Now we need to make some circuits though, because the next thing I want to make is the terminal, but we might as well get our other storage cell first. But the terminal will let us see what's inside our inventories once we add some storage buses. And the terminal just requires an illuminated panel, which requires some quartz glass, which again is just more ground up quartz, and it requires a logic processor, which requires printed silicon we're making right now, and then the printed logic circuit, which is just gold. And then we need an annihilation and a formation core. And these are pretty much the same, except they have slightly different requirements. This requires Certus, and the annihilation requires nether. Oh ho, this actually appears to have stalled, because I did hook it up with the cable. Maybe it was providing it with power. Yep, that was it. Okay, apparently it does need to be wired up, so we're gonna have to cable this room. I probably should make a couple more of these advanced inscribers too while I'm at this to do all the chips simultaneously, so I can just lock in the press that I need and eventually automate this whole thing. Although I literally just said this in my Enigmatica series, I probably should just be outputting these chips full time into a drawer that doesn't have a void upgrade in it, just so we always have like 64 or a couple hundred of each, just because they take a while to make, even with acceleration upgrades. But that's a problem for when we actually have the automation for this starting to be set up, which this room is definitely not big enough to really set up an automation lab. This is just me bootstrapping this in so we can access our inventory more easily. Alright, so I've at least got my drawer system wired up. I created the ME terminal. I ran a cable down in through here down to the basement. It connects up to the energy acceptor to run power up to this. This is basically a P2P network because there's no ME controller involved right now, but it also means we are limited to 8 channels in this single cable. So we've got that going from here up there to the drawer network slave, and there's a storage bus running into that. So that's 2 of the channels already used. So I could also run them up to my chest up here and put more storage buses in here, but I can't connect them all up because I don't have enough channels. My choice at this point is either make an ME drive interface with those couple drives that we've gotten and use that for storage, or wire up a couple of those crates for storage. I might actually increase the size of the crates to the bigger ones because these can be upgraded, although no, I can't because we need the atomic reconstructor and the Empower, so I guess that isn't actually an option yet. Although those crates are plenty big as is, so maybe I will run enough just to do that for now. Okay, so I opted just to make the drive bay because we already have some drives and I really want to get some stuff cleaned up sooner than later, because this will help us make all of the things we need to make these export buses and the smart cables and the dense cables and whatnot in a little bit. So if we look at this, it can hold 63 different types of items and up a little over 1,000 of them. So that's not terrible, but these are the smallest. We can just slot them in like this, and now we at least have some storage inside our ME system. And if we come back up to the terminal, we can just toss whatever we want and it will now end up in there, so that we can just pull them back out later. It's also nicely searchable. But we should go take an energy cell, which will let us store energy, which we'll need when we get a little bit later into this, when we start needing more than we can provide easily for spike traffic for auto crafting. But next we should probably make the charger and the crystal growth chamber so that we can make the crafting terminal, which is the better version of the ME terminal, which lets you craft straight out of it, which is what I really actually do want. And the charger is just more of the same, although I need to go make some more Fluix crystals real fast because I used up the last of them making cables. Alright, and that's the charger done, and it does pretty much exactly what it claims it does. It lets you turn Certus quartz crystals into charged Certus quartz crystals, just like that. Which is part of the Fluix crystal creation pipeline in this pack. It wasn't actually in Enigmaticus, so this is kind of new to me because I haven't done raw AE2 in a really long time. And the next up is the crystal growth chamber, which speeds up growth from seeds to be dramatically quicker than the native way in AE2. These seeds, the Certus, Nether, and Fluix seeds, which is the means of duplicating these and increasing them from the raw one so that you can just take a normal one, pound it up into dust, and add sand to create more. Same with all of these. It normally takes a long time to grow these in water. There are growth accelerators in Applied Energistics that work for it, but it's still not that fast. The crystal growth chamber is ridiculously fast by comparison. Alright, and now we have the growth accelerator set up as well. And as an example, I ground down some of my Fluix crystals to go make 12 seeds out of it. If we toss the seeds in here, you'll notice that they can do whole stacks instead of just singular ones, which is part of why this is so good. And you can see that it's growing very, very quickly. This is a process that normally, depending on the pack you're playing on, can take actual hours if you just have it soaking in water. So I will take less than a minute, thanks. And there we go, doubled our Fluix crystals and turned it into pure Fluix instead, which is still functionally the same for the most part as the normal Fluix crystals. But this was only a stepping stone to get to me the thing I actually wanted. But we might as well take some more storage cells and some free nether quartz. But we wanted to make the crafting terminal, which is an upgraded version of the ME terminal, but it required making a calculation processor, which requires a pure Certus crystal, so we need to grind up some Certus crystals and do exactly what we just did. Probably would have been smarter if I had used Certus crystals as my example here, but that's fine. And with that, I have now made the crafting terminal. And it's basically the same thing as the normal terminal, except you can craft straight from your inventory, which is pretty fantastic. My only problem with this pack is that it does not include the additional mod that adds the wireless crafting terminal. There is the normal wireless ME terminal that's in Applied Energistics, and we could make that, but we're gated a bit by materials and the things we need to make currently, because you need to make the security terminal to key your ID, and this right here is, I could do it, but it would be awful. I'd much rather have that automated, and we're nowhere near ready to start automating things yet from a space, materials, or power situation. But this at least gives us better access to our inventory, and I should wire up my chest upstairs just to give some more capacity that it isn't gated by power or by disk drive space. but for now this will do. Now what I should probably do in the very near future is also make the ME controller so that we're not on just a single P2P network. You know what, there's no reason why I shouldn't do this right now. Actually, I have everything. Hold please. Alright, so exactly as always planned, we made the ME controller. Now we could always chain a bunch of these together into a giant square or rectangle or cube to give more channels outgoing from it, because you can put different cables or different colored cables off of it to connect a bunch of different devices. This is just getting us started on this, but this also allows it all to be inter-networked together, so if we ever set these up for auto crafting, we can now do that off of our inventory because the two systems are actually now linked together. So that's progress, at least. That lets us a step further forward than I thought we were going to get. But I think this is a good spot to call it a day, because this gets our inventory out of control and gives me a whole lot of homework, because now I need to clean up all my chests and clean up basically everything on the surface and toss it into storage, maybe create a couple storage buses and a couple of those crates usable. If you found this episode interesting and entertaining, please consider leaving a like or subscribing if you're new. As always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.